Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Cardone Solutions Podcast. I am your host of the Cardone Solutions Podcast. My name is David Bradley, training facilitator and coach with Grant Cardone. I'm bringing you weekly sales solutions, sales tips, sales strategies, and a couple attitude adjustments thrown in there for good measure, directly from the 10X world of Grant Cardone. Check this out. 80% of what we do here is 100% free. So the purpose of the podcast is to make sure that the free stuff we're putting down, you're picking it up and you're plugging it in to your sales, your business, and your life. So thank you in advance for hitting that subscribe button, and thank you in advance for sharing this out into the cyberspace. I promise you, if you're getting some benefit from it, share it so somebody else can benefit from it too, right? Share the love, share the wealth. Okay, now today's episode, we're going to be going over Grant Cardone's perfect sales process. But speaking of sales processes and training a sales process, let's have a quick word from our sponsor, shall we? Today's episode of the Cardone Solutions Podcast is brought to you by Cardone University. This is the #1 sales, business, and marketing training platform in the galaxy. This is your roadmap, your playbook, your plan of attack to increase your income and grow your sales today. Head on over to cardonesolutions.com/CardoneU-free. That's cardonesolutions.com/CardoneU-free. Here's what you're going to get. 2 weeks free access to over 800 plus business courses, private Cardone U Connect community over on the Facebook, exclusive live streams and Q&A sessions with our team in Miami and Uncle G sometimes, never before released content, access to live weekly training sessions, and special membership pricing on products and events. This is everything that you need to know, everything you need to have in order to grow and run your business. Self-improvement on steroids is what it's been called. So to get started, to claim your 2 weeks free access to this program, head on over to cardonesolutions.com/CardoneU-free. That's cardonesolutions.com/Cardone, the letter U, the word free. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, I don't need 2 weeks to do this. I know this is something I want to engage in, okay? Here's what you do. We have a special offer for anyone who is ready to take action right now. cardonesolutions.com/Cardone, the letter U, the word free. Head on over there. Now, on with the show. Let's talk about Grant Cardone's perfect sales process, okay? For over 50 years, think about this for a second, maybe even longer, there has been very little change in how people sell stuff. And most of the information that is out there about sales is dated, pre-internet sometimes. There's encouragement out there for you to control the customer, or to maybe spend really long periods of time with them, believing that, hey, the longer I spend with this guy, the more indebted they become to me, and the more likely it is they're going to do something. The reality is that people have changed over the last 50 years. And so consequently, if that's happened, if people are changing, then wouldn't it make sense that how we sell them should change and evolve as well, too? And so the first thing we want to understand as we start thinking about what would a perfect sales process in 2021 look like is, does it satisfy all parties involved? Does it increase the effectiveness of the user? Look, people have less time right now, right? And there's access to way more information than before. Both husband and wife in this day and age are likely to be employed. Some studies suggest that entire generations of buyers have become accustomed to, if not even never engaging in a human being before they make a purchase decision. That's why Amazon does so well. You don't have to talk to anybody. So the perfect sales process then would have to be fast and easy for the buyer. Would you agree with that? Should also be easy and effective for the salesperson. Fast and easy for the buyer, easy and effective for the salesperson. Should also provide quick and credible information to the consumer. And we want to treat our buyers as already informed, and then ultimately satisfying the customer and the company by consummating a sale. Sounds great, right? So the first thing that Grant does when he looks at any sales process is, how do I shorten it? That's what Grant's asking. How do we shorten it? How do we simplify it? Just because of the level of sensitivity that buyers demonstrate towards time. Whether that's them filling up their gas tank, checking out a gym membership, shopping for an outfit, buying groceries, new piece of technology, time is always on a buyer's mind. How long is this going to take? How fast can I get in there and get out? How long am I going to have to be there? Am I going to get stuck with a slow salesperson? We think of all these things before, like you as a consumer, you're thinking all this stuff right now before you go into a buying cycle, right? So we've worked with sales organizations, our company, and individuals all over planet Earth. And the 5 steps that we're about to give you, that I'm about to share with you right now in today's episode, these are what Grant believes and what we believe to be a very powerful and succinct selling process. Now, you're going to maybe need to make some tweaks and some customizations to meet your market, your product, or your service. But the basic format that you're about to get works for all salespeople. Not just most, not some, all salespeople. This is the shortest number of steps in order to simplify the process and still focus on the most important thing that you want to accomplish, which is closing a deal. Many organizations have 10 up to 12 steps, and half of them get skipped anyway, and the rest are resisted. So these are the most crucial 5 steps. These are the things that a customer needs to have and that you need to do in order to help somebody make a decision to buy and buy from you. Whether this is on the phone, this is face-to-face in person, or on the internet. Okay, you ready? Let's go. Okay, I'm going to list them off, okay, and then we'll go deep into them, right? Number 1, greeting. We need to greet the customer. 2, determine the wants and needs. Figure out what's important to them, okay? Select a product or a service and present that and build value in it. 4, make a proposal. 5, close and exit. That's it, okay? So let's go over these one at a time. Greeting. The goal of the greeting is literally like introduce yourself, make a good first impression, and most importantly, put the buyer at ease. So the goal of the greeting is to set the stage for the remaining steps. Simply say welcome if they're coming to you. Thanks for seeing me. Appreciate your time. And whether you're going to them or they're coming to you, we want to maintain interest in them. And if you don't yet have a relationship with that client, you certainly don't want to waste their time by trying to make a great first impression of who you are and build rapport and do all that stuff. Now, if you do know them, maybe get caught up a little bit with some small talk. But like the sooner you can get into the business thing, that's not a bad idea. Okay, it's impossible to get rid of the greeting. You need to do it. It has to happen. But what we want to do is open up the door to the next steps. And we want to move the prospect into a buying situation. So here's a great example of a greeting. Welcome. Thanks for coming in. What can I get you information on? You call Grant Cardone's office on the phone. It's a great day at Grant Cardone's office. This is Dave. What can I get you information on? Back in the day when I was selling retail. Hey, welcome to the store. My name's Dave. What can I get you information on? Easy, simple, starts the whole process. Second thing, determine some wants and needs. Now you can do this very simply by just moving into some fact finding or more of a consultative stage. And the fastest way to do this is to fact find on previous purchases. Return to the scene of the crime, as Grant says in Cardone University. And the purpose of this is twofold. 1, know what product to show your client. And 2, know how to present the product or the service in a manner that will build value in the presentation and cause them to want to act. If I know how they did their last deal, it helps me structure the next one. Make sense? And the other thing to keep in mind, all purchases or investments are trying to solve a problem of some sort. The number one reason someone's going to buy something, solve a problem. And you don't buy a drill. I love this analogy Grant says. He says, you don't buy a drill because you need a drill. You buy a drill because you need a hole. Got it? 3, select a product and then present it and build value. That's number 3. Select for your client rather than allowing them to wander aimlessly through the inventory. Maybe show them a couple different options. Choices support decision making. And whether your product is a tangible or it's an intangible, frankly, it doesn't matter. You have inventory. If you're selling insurance, for example, based on what you found in the first two steps, you would now know and be able to select and present a solution in terms of how it will benefit your consumer, your buyer. And the same is going to hold true with every other presentation, whether that's surgery that you're going to perform on somebody, a piece of art, a car, furniture, country club membership, charitable donation, or even a simple glass of water. You should present your product based on what your client told you was important to them. I mean, if a man is choking, he does not need to know the quality of the crystal or the purity of the water. Just sell the drink. Make sense? 4, make a proposal. We have a policy in our company. It's called 100% write-up. Everyone gets a proposal. Always. 100% of the time. Even if they're not ready, we're going to make an offer. People suggest that you don't present all buyers with figures. And we believe that if you don't present them with figures, you can never come to an agreement. And so we're not suggesting that you make an offer before the presentation of the product. What we are suggesting here is that you aggressively do what you can to get to the figure stage with your buyer and do that in every situation. So for example, when I was in the auto industry as a sales guy, if I drove you, I wrote you. That was my personal policy. If you go on a test drive, you're coming in and getting some idea as to what it's going to take this car home, whether that's now or later in the future, every single time. And when I made that habit and ritual, my sales went up. Which brings us to the final thing. Speaking of sales going up, you got to close a deal. This is where you find out, for a lot of y'all, how much game you got. And if you're not on your game, then you need to train, which is why we talked about Cardone University earlier. You got to be a master at the close. You must be prepared first to actually close. Closing the transaction is completely different than selling. It's a totally separate skill set. Okay? Fact finding, understanding greeting somebody, fact finding, presenting the solution. Those are all great. That's the sales process. Now I got to get into the close process. Time to shut the deal down. We are all born salespeople. Kids do it all the time, right? But you got to learn how to close. And by survey, this is actually the one area which professional salespeople need the most help and where consumers get the most anxiety. So a great closer is going to need hundreds of closes. He's also going to need to maintain that, putting the buyer at ease that he did in the greeting at this point again. And it's not just a couple of closes. It's a lot. Like you need a complete commitment to fresh, innovative ways to handle any closing situation that arises. And whether you're in a sales job or not, or you got a lifetime of sales experience, we know you're looking for tools. And this sales process literally is a tool, okay? So let's go over them again. Number 1, greet your customer. Hey, welcome. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm Dave. What can I get you information on? Okay? Greeting. Okay? Figure out what's important to them. Hey, do you own a widget now? First time widget? Oh, what's important to you in a widget? Why are we considering a widget at this time? What did you like most about your last widget? And what does your current widget have that your next widget must have, right? Let's have some understanding about what's important to them, what the problem is right now, so that we can what? Present the solution. And maybe show them 2 or 3 solutions because choices support decision making. That's the selection. Then we're going to make a proposal. Hey, here's how much this sucker's going to cost, and then we're going to ask them to do business with us. Okay, that's it. Now, you got to drill this down. You got to work this out. You got to practice it. You got to drill it. You got to rehearse it. You got to know your closing content. All of these things are available to you. Where? Oh yeah, Cardone University, that thing we were talking about earlier. Okay, so and we've got free access for you. So which one of these do you feel like you need the most help with? Do you feel like you got to get your greeting dialed in a little bit better? Do you feel like you got to get your fact finding dialed in a little bit better? How's your presentation? Is it good? Okay? Mediocre? Stellar? Do you know how to present a proposal effectively that moves you into the closing phase? And then How many closes do you know? And whatever uncertainty you have on that, Cardone University, if you just spent 2 weeks for free on us in Cardone University, getting dialed in on the one of the 5 that I just listed for you, what would that do for your sales? Okay, this is exactly how you get to the next level. And that next level is at cardonesolutions.com/Cardone, the letter U, the word free. That's cardonesolutions.com/Cardone, the letter U, the word free. And this has been another episode of the Cardone Solutions Podcast. And I thank you so much for listening. Hey, if you got something out of this one, number 1, share it out. And then throw me some feedback over on the Twitter. I'm at David R. Bradley. Thank you again for listening. Longtime listeners, thank you so much for still being here. And I'm going to leave you with the words of Grant Cardone, which is be great, because nothing else pays. See you soon.